Today on Sports Central, I'll be going over analysis on, quite honestly, the most underrated quarterback in all of college football heading into the 2020 season, and that's going to be Florida quarterback Kyle Trask, in which this is a quarterback that I definitely think is underrated for many reasons. And today we're going to be going over those reasons and why I think Kyle Trask could quite possibly be a big Heisman contender, and he also could be one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC going into next season. And of course, this is a quarterback that went into 2019 not even expecting to start, as he was behind Felipe Franks, which, of course, as you know, Felipe Franks got injured in their first game of the season, and he's now with Arkansas. He's not even with Florida anymore, and a big part of the reason why he even transferred away is because of how well Kyle Trask has done in the past. And of course, he put up some of his best stats in the SEC in his first full season. I mean, you can't forget that in the SEC, you got all sorts of great quarterbacks. You got great quarterbacks left and right, and for Kyle Trask to stand out as much as he did in a season that he wasn't even expecting to start in, this is a quarterback that no one's even hardly talking about. You hear him every once in a while, but you don't really hear him among the names of, say, Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. This quarterback honestly, genuinely has got potential to do some really big things in 2020. If you look at his completion rate from last season, he actually had a 67% completion rate. And no one's even really talking about that. He's a very accurate quarterback, and considering, once again, how young that he is, he's got potential to do some really big things next season. And, of course, he was second in the SEC last season, only behind Joe Burrow. And, Joe Burrow is an out-of-the-ordinary quarterback. So if you kind of take him out, Kyle Trask is a quarterback that genuinely put up some really good stats last season, once again, considering how young he is. And in general, just considering how he wasn't even expecting to start, that's very impressive in general. And Kyle Trask, I think, is a quarterback that really needs to be talked about more because of those reasons. If you look at his offense, too, and the weapons that he's got around him, this is a team that's got a lot of great recruiting. And, of course, they've got a great recruiting class coming into 2020. But they also have great receivers in general. You can't forget about the receivers that this team has. And you can't forget about the offensive weapons that he's going to have, and that's going to be surrounding him going into next season. And yeah, of course, he's also second in the SEC in passing yards last season, also only behind Joe Burrow. And yeah, he was also third in passing touchdowns last season with 35. You can't forget that, to have second in passing yards in the SEC is quite an accomplishment. Once again, that's another big reason why Kyle Trask, I think, is so underrated, is because, when you're not even mentioned among the names of, say, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, and a couple other quarterbacks like that, and you're second in the SEC in passing yards from last season, only behind Joe Burrow. If Joe Burrow, once again, he's a quarterback that put up nearly 6,000 yards of offense last season. He quite possibly had the best career or the best season of any college football player in recent history. And yeah, if you take him out, Kyle Trask was the best quarterback in the SEC last season. Once again, with him being third in passing touchdowns last year, just being behind Joe Burrow and Tua, that's very impressive, I think. For Kyle Trask, once again, he's had a full offseason to be able to prepare for a big 2020 season. And, just expect a lot of big things out of him going into 2020. I think it's definitely understated that Kyle Trask is a great quarterback. And, once again, he put up nearly 3,000 yards of offense last season with 25 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. And his touchdown interception ratio is, it could definitely be improved, but still, a 25-7 in a season like what he had is still very impressive. And a 67% completion rate, also very impressive for Kyle Trask. So, that's a big reason. All these reasons are big reasons why I think Kyle Trask needs to be talked about more among everyone. And I think Kyle Trask genuinely could be a Heisman contender if he's able to put up the stats that I think he definitely can do in the 2020 season. And it also brings up the question of, will Trask be the best quarterback in the SEC next season? Of course, there are several quarterbacks that are leaving the SEC for the NFL next year. A couple of big names are Joe Burrow and Tua. And if you look at how both of those names are up there, and now that they're gone in the NFL, the next name up in line for the SEC is Kyle Trask. And, of course, they got KJ Costello now transferring in from Stanford, and he's now with Mississippi State. But quite honestly, looking at your top quarterbacks in the SEC for next season, you got Jamie Newman, who transferred in from Wake Forest. He's now in Georgia. And, Kellen Mond, Mac Jones, Bo Nix. You can also consider Felipe Franks and Terry Wilson. Among all of these quarterbacks, I think Kyle Trask definitely has potential to be the best out of all of these quarterbacks next season. It wouldn't surprise me a single bit to see him put up 3,500 yards next year. There's definitely potential for that. And considering the talent that he's got around him, too, he's got a great offensive line to work with. I mean, you can't forget about that. And I mean, the talent alone, I think, is enough for Kyle Trask to have a great season in general. I mean, the main competitor that I would give Kyle Trask for next season would be KJ Costello. I mean, considering he's in Mississippi State, I mean, that's definitely got. I mean, Kyle Trask has potential to beat him out, I think. And I mean, Jamie Newman's another quarterback that you could definitely watch out for in the SEC. But then again, I mean, Kyle Trask has already been in the SEC for a season. He's been in the SEC longer than KJ Costello and Jamie Newman. And that, in general, I think it's going to help him a ton going into next season. So definitely be watching out for this quarterback. And I mean, if you look at the other quarterbacks in the conference, you got Kellen Mond, of course, at Texas A&M. He put up a big season for Texas A&M last season. Same with Mac Jones. Of course, he took over after Tua got injured in the middle of the season. And I mean, you got Bo Nix, Felipe Franks, and Terry Wilson as well. But those three quarterbacks, I mean, Bo Nix definitely could put up a big season. But as far as Felipe Franks and Terry Wilson go, I don't even think they could really be compared to Kyle Trask. I mean, this is a quarterback that I think, he's got potential to even be a Joe Burrow next season. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Joe Burrow, or as good as Joe Burrow was last season, because, I mean, it's extremely rare to see a quarterback come around like that. But, I mean, I think Kyle Trask can get up close to that. I think he could definitely put up, 4,000 yards. That's definitely within reach of him. And I think, once again, looking at all the ties that he's got around him, I'm just surprised, and I'm honestly kind of baffled that Kyle Trask is not talked about more among the best or the most elite quarterbacks in all of college football. So, yeah, I figured, this was just kind of a random topic that I thought about. I thought it'd be kind of a good video just to go over and just to let you guys know why I think Kyle Trask should definitely be talked about more. And I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below on Kyle Trask as well. And if you enjoyed this research and analysis, be sure to slap a like on it and subscribe as well. It really helps out the channel, and I appreciate that. But as always, be sure to stay tuned for more content from All Sports Central. And then again, also let me know your thoughts on Kyle Trask in the comments below, and I will see you all later.